Okay.
In a few minutes, yes.
I will.
Yes, I can do it. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. No, but thanks for asking, Chris. Usually people don't ask and they just click the button.
Right.
Oh my God.
And then we go live and we're like, oh, we're live.
People are like still getting dressed, putting on makeup.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like that.
What is happening here? What is happening? Oh my gosh, why is this? Something's going on. Oh, we're live on Facebook. Yay. Okay.
There we go.
We are live on Facebook. Everybody out there in Facebook land.
Be on your best behavior, Rob.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all going, oh my God, we're getting a sneak preview. Seconds before the event starts.
All right. Let's start this webinar. Let's get this going.
Let's click the button.
Get everybody in here. It's a couple. Oh, yes. People are coming in the door. These guys got here early this morning. This is good. Yep. Now everybody's coming in.
Right on the dot, Haley. Good job.
Oh, look at that. Yep. All I know is that everybody from Mass MEP that's in here is probably like, I hope to God that she's changed her opening and added some new jokes. Like, I can't. It's post-COVID. I can't. I gotta stick with the same jokes. They worked for the last year, so why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, so welcome everyone. Good morning. Good little group. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We have a nice hour set aside for everyone for this webinar. We wanted to welcome you to the Mass MEP webinar event. It's presented by our guests today, Tribal Vision, and this is tips for refining your lead generation engine in a post-COVID-19 world. Hopefully we're in that post stage now. I'm Haley Steele, I'll be the moderator for the event. We have two esteemed panelists with us today. I almost threw up the GIF that we made of Rob that we posted the past couple of days over social media. Just so you know, Rob, that took us a lot of work to do, but we did it and we feel so accomplished now. But
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome with us today. We have Chris Cianci. He is the founder and partner at Tribal Vision. And we have Rob Meyer, who is a marketing manager with Tribal Vision. So welcome to our two panelists. Thank you all for joining us. You can see you are in a webinar format. So as I always say, if you've lived under a rock for the past year and haven't been on Zoom, in a webinar format, the best ways for you to engage with us are through your chat button. We will have some polls and we also have the Q&A. So down on the bottom ribbon, you will be able to see the chat bubble that we usually recommend for everybody to use. If you have something specific that you would like to direct to Rob and Chris, that you think is more of a private comment, please feel free to go ahead and go into the chat. But if you do have a question, in most cases, pretty certain that somebody else within the audience has the same question as well. So please, we encourage you to use the chat and go in there and we'll make sure that we answer those questions for you. We do have some polls today. They will be popping up throughout the webinar. We do ask for everybody to answer those polls as it's a nice form of data that Rob and Chris can then use catering their content towards you that are out there in the audience. So please feel free and make sure that you answer those polling questions for us. We have an hour set aside for the webinar today. We do feel that that is plenty of time for our Q&A polls and the content that Chris and Rob have for you. We will be respectful of everyone's time if we do roll over a little bit, but there are some questions and we can't get the answers to you directly online. We will make sure that we answer them. Everybody did register with an email address and we will be in contact with you after the event. At Mass MEP, you will probably hear from one of our representatives. He is a business development advisor. His name is Manny Jerome, and he will be reaching out to everyone that registered for the event from the Mass MEP side. We are recording the webinar today, and also we are live on Facebook. So hello to everybody out on Facebook. If there is anybody out there in your organization that couldn't make the webinar today, they will be able to watch this webinar again on our Facebook page. So you just go to the Mass MEP Facebook page and it will live there. It is our, what we like to call our own DVR out on Facebook land. So please feel free to send them over to Facebook and they can watch the video again. So I think that's it for me. I'm going to turn the webinar over to Rob and Chris, and it's all yours.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Haley, and thanks everyone for joining on whatever platform you're joining from. Thank you. As Haley said, we always try and make sure we're respectful of your time, so we'll do our best to be getting you out of here by around noon or so today. But the purpose of today, right? We sort of put our heads together with Haley and the team at Mass MEP to make sure what we're presenting right now is impactful for you. So, we didn't think of anything that could be more impactful than this sort of entering or exiting, in some sense, this post-COVID world where we're soon enough, we're going to be back in some offices in the next months or so. But the world has changed, right? Even though we're getting back to offices eventually, this post-COVID environment has really, changed behavior from companies and from marketers. And we just thought, what, we want to keep you on the cutting edge to let you know what you should really be thinking about with your marketing efforts in this new normal. So our agenda for today, right, we're going to be discussing, of course, marketing in the post-COVID world, just high level sort of macro stats that we would think that you would want to know. And from there, that'll lead us into, hopefully 10 practical tips for you for your marketing and lead generation efforts. And hoping we have a few minutes at the end, as Haley said, where we can be asking any questions that you have as well. And feel free to be asking throughout, right? We can certainly be interrupted with any questions and would love to have a conversation. So you don't have to feel like you have to wait till the end either if it's timely for you to ask the question while we're on a certain tip. Rob, do you have anything to add?
No. I think that covers it really well.
Okay, great. So if you want to just go to the next slide then, Rob, right? We're going to be talking about this marketing in post-COVID
There we
world.
go. There we go.
There you go. No
Got
worries.
a little bit of a lag on my end, but yeah, there we are.
No, perfect. So so some stats that we just wanted to share with everyone. Again, some of this might be evident, but it's good to just see cold hard facts here. The big picture point of this slide is, the shift to digital marketing is here, right? Companies and manufacturers, of course, have always known that they need to slowly shift to digital from sort of traditional and from trade shows. But because of COVID, that's been fast forwarded. And that brings us to our first stat here, right? So, 65% of organizations that were polled, they fast forwarded their move to digital first customer interactions by 3 years since the COVID-19 pandemic. So they're 3 years ahead of where they thought they were going to be with their digital footprint and online footprints. Okay, so there's been a huge shift towards digital due to COVID. Other stats, right? 20% increase in social media since 2019, right? So social advertising now is topped 43 billion in 2020, which is remarkable. In terms of the 250% number, right? There's a higher purchase rate among omni-channel marketing channels now versus single channel campaigns. So omni-channel means a combination of both traditional, but also now an online digital effort being put through. And then lastly, right, in terms of 61%, right, 61% of marketing professionals think their marketing strategy is effective. So, even Fortune 500 companies have room to improve, right? But ultimately, there's a long way to go in terms of making sure that this new strategy that needs to take place with this post-COVID world is in place. So, so hopefully those are some good stats for you to be chewing on here. Okay, so that leads us into some tips. Rob, I'm thinking you can just lead us with the first tip. Just know, again, we have 10 tips, and just keep in mind, big picture, the tips that we're discussing here really all have to do with what should you be doing in this now post-COVID environment to make sure that your digital game is where it needs to be, right? And that's not to say, again, and we're going to get into it in a bit, but that's not to say trade shows are completely out the window. Some of them will be opening up again in the upcoming year, but but the thrust of this presentation really is all about, if you haven't already really thought about shifting to digital, hopefully after this presentation, you'll be a little bit better equipped to. And again, a lot of these tips also are just using technologies and platforms that you might not know are existing that you should know, so that, again, you can bring your digital game to the next level. So with that, Rob, I'll let you start tackling the first tip, and I'll sort of be your color guy from here.
Sounds great. So I'm seeing that the polling responses are coming in here regarding how recently you cleaned your email database. I'm gonna be honest, I'm very excited to see that we have 36% of the folks that have entered the poll are saying that they have done it in the last 6 months. That's excellent, because a lot of times cleaning your email database is the last thing that people think that they need to do, or at least it's like, yeah, we need to do that, but it always ends up kind of put on the back burner and put in the parking lot and gets tackled eventually. But the reason why cleaning your email database is the first tip here is that in a lot of different ways, what you have going on in your email database is going to inform the success or really the failure of a lot of different marketing initiatives. So at this point, since we are coming out of this situation where just kind of everything is up in the air, nobody really knows what's going to come next, there isn't really any kind of business as usual. Now that we're sort of getting ready to, fingers crossed, move out of that situation and potentially back to something that looks similar to what we'd all experienced our entire lives before 2020, it does mean that we're at a spot where it makes sense to ready yourself, and in this case, your email database, for going back to leveraging more of the marketing activities that you may have had going previously that, for whatever reason over the last year may have been paused. So the other key piece behind why you've absolutely got to clean your email database now, though, is that in the last year there has been, and paraphrasing what we have written on the slide here, but in the last year there has been a significant amount of movement between people moving to different companies, leaving companies, starting new jobs, starting new ventures, companies closing their doors, so on and so forth, that at this point, it's likely that, and I'm not going to throw out a percentage of how many contacts in your database are probably out of date, but I will say that having went through a similar process a few times over the last year on the tribal vision side, we have seen that the changes in your database are extensive. And so it's really important that at this point, you make a point to pause, go in there, download your database and run it through. And here, these are two options that are available to you. There's other ones out there, but run it through something like a never bounce or data validation, which can basically, with a click of a button, confirm if those emails are deliverable or not. And if they're not deliverable, it's going to highlight those for you. And then okay, we can just delete that person straight out of our database because that email no longer works. And this strategy works for situations where an individual may have just left the company. If it gets a direct bounce, we're going to know, the platform is going to know, and you'll be able to remove them from your database. So yeah, long story short, make sure at this point, before you really get moving with more email marketing and some of these other digital tactics that we're going to talk about on the call today, that you take the kind of boring but first step of cleaning up your database of names.
Hey, Rob, before we move to the next tip, what are we talking pricing here, right? So how expensive or cheap are we talking here?
So it's a fraction of a penny per contact. So if you're looking to validate, clean, 30,000, 50,000 contact records, it might be, $100, but
Right.
it's very cost. It's pretty cheap, and it's worth the investment in the long run. As there's countless platforms where, and I'm thinking like email platforms here, where your subscription is dictated by how many contact records you have. So just doing this one step, that can save you money because you don't have as many contact records any longer. So.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. So moving into our next tip. setting up post-COVID nurturing campaigns. And really this kind of, really kind of dovetails right out of our discussion about the email database. So with post-COVID nurturing campaigns, the idea here is that over the course of the last year, there have definitely been existing customers that you have that you've noticed, hey, these guys are doing well, so on and so forth. Great thing for you to do, though, really, and it's not just specifically to those customers that you know are doing well, but I think that those are probably one that you want to prioritize. But a great thing to start doing now is to begin launching long-term email sequences that are really designed to run for the next 5-6 months. So really through the summer and into the fall, where people are going to start to make budgeting decisions. The reason being that, yes, over the course of the summer, where it seems like more and more organizations are going to be juggling moving back into their office, at least in some capacity. During those summer months, they might not be looking to make a purchasing decision, but keeping your name top of mind during those summer months, so that when they do get to September and into October and they are looking to make those decisions and those investments, your organization has continued to come up in their inbox. You continue to show them, I mean, we gave you some examples here, but like new products that you've launched, new capabilities that you have, other kinds of updates around your organization. Sharing those sorts of email messages really works wonderfully because, like I said, it's going to keep your organization top of mind over the course of the summer, so that when we do get to the spot where people are making a decision, they know who to reach out to first.
Yeah, and Rob, I would just add to that, again, keeping in mind, we're still in this sort of COVID environment here where there's not much shaking hands still taking place. Where a salesperson who before was going, door to door and making sure relationships are being built, or going to the local trade show that's not existing right now, pivoting to these email nurture campaigns that are automated for frequency is super important to stay top of mind. Because if not, then you're somewhat disappearing if you're not touching your customer or prospect digitally at this point. So yeah, with our own client base of manufacturers we work with, there's, nurture campaigns have been very big over the last, year with COVID, just to make sure that if nothing else, you're just continuing to touch customers and prospects.
And I think another thing to keep in mind there is that, since it's an automated campaign, this means that you can, the size of the audience that you can reach is so much higher that, sure, we can't be shaking hands, but, we can definitely get as many emails out there as possible. So in terms of the email nurturing, we didn't just want to give you the blanket tip and then sort of leave you there. We did want to give you a couple of ideas of where you could potentially launch said campaigns from if you don't currently have that capacity in your marketing team or marketing department. At this point, there's a ton of different email platforms that offer automation solutions. Honestly, at this point, it's more a rarity that a platform doesn't have a type of automation than if it does, which is, to be perfectly honest, a huge change from, say, 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Mailchimp didn't know what automation is, for example. That's new to the platform. But these are 3 different platforms that we often recommend to clients and on webinars and presentations like this. The first being Persist Iq. Persist Iq, I would characterize it as a modestly priced platform that it does have some limited functionality insofar as it doesn't allow you to send HTML style emails, but that honestly works to your advantage anyway. Most HTML emails with a big banner image at the top and everything, those are sort of reserved for marketing, newsletters, and that sort of email outreach at this point. The plain text email, though, that where you've plugged in the company name, the individual's name, so on and so forth, that's really Persist IQ's wheelhouse, and makes it a great option for you if you are looking to automate some of your sales outreach. And again, like I said, it's modestly priced. I mean, I think that the last I looked, I believe that it's under $75 a month if you just have a single seat on the platform. So it's definitely a good way to dip your toe into the automation world if you haven't done so already. Now, on the Mailchimp side, Mailchimp is a little bit more expensive than Persist IQ, but I would say they're very comparable. The big difference with Mailchimp is that it really can do both styles of email. So you can ship out those plain text type email messages, but you can also do the full-blown designed HTML email. So you can really be launching both marketing type newsletters and these sorts of like image heavy emails, as well as like more sales focused, just text based emails. Those can both come out of the same platform. So if you're looking for an opportunity to save on your platform expenses, Mailchimp is an excellent option. And then last but not least, there's HubSpot. Now, HubSpot is a bit of a Rolls Royce when it comes to marketing automation platforms, specifically because it actually offers features for sales, marketing, and your customer service teams. But if you are looking to build out automation and that be a significant component of your marketing efforts, then HubSpot is absolutely worth consideration. And definitely, I would say definitely reach out to Chris and I by the end of the conversation today, as we'd love to talk with you firsthand and give you some background on our experience with the platform. As actually we use HubSpot internally ourselves.
Hey, Rob, I'm going to interrupt you here. We got a question
Sure.
from Bill that came in through chat. The question is, do you have any data on the effectiveness of automation-based versus hand-drafted personalized emails? So I'll start, and then
Sure.
you can fill in for where you want, Rob. But Bill, so just know a couple things. One is with automation, even using any of these that we're talking about, but mostly even Persist IQ or HubSpot, Mailchimp, it still can look a little Mailchimpy, a little bit templatized, but just know there are automation platforms that can make your emails look extremely one-on-one and personalized. That's really the beauty of these types of platforms oftentimes, is it doesn't look like it's a constant contact or a Mailchimp email going out to millions, and you don't feel special or personal at all. So first answer I have to you is, it's not a if or an or question, right? It can be both, right? Automation can provide you with the scale that you're looking for and also come across as personalized. Will it be as personalized as a handwritten, hand-drafted email? No. If you need to be talking about Johnny's soccer, where it's the son of the person that you're talking to, no, we can't automate that across 1,000 people. So yes, you will get more personalized with something hand drafted in an email. That being said, the power of automation is it certainly does look like it's coming directly from you, no graphics whatsoever, and you can still personalize, just not to the point of hand drafting. And again, you have to just weigh that difference to, I'm able to send out 1,000 within 5 seconds, whereas the person who's hand drafting a personalized email, it's going to take them that long for just one email. So it's a matter of, again, quantity over quality. My point is, automation will provide you, of course, with the quantity and frequency, but also not completely be lacking on the quality or personalization, even though it won't be as one-on-one like you're talking about.
Yep.
Rob, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Well, the figures you gave, you said 1,000 emails, right? In a handful of seconds. I think it's really important to think about who those 1,000 emails are that you're sending out to, right? In no way are we recommending that, like, if you have like 15 hot leads, my gosh, don't send them an automated message. Those you definitely want to be crafting your personalized message for. It's the shotgun approach of, this is 1,000 companies that we think could be a good fit for us. We're going to email all of them, and the hope is that we hear back from 10 to 15, and that results in a conversation. That's kind of the difference that you want to keep in mind with how you utilize those two different email options.
Yeah, and I would just make one other point also, just to be clear. With Persist IQ, if you're looking at our slide, Persist IQ is a platform that will enable you to send cold emails to 1,000 prospects, let's just say, from a list that you've curated. Mailchimp and Hubspot, to be clear, that would be to email addresses that have raised their hand and they've actually opted in to your database. So what Rob and I right now are talking about for prospecting, where you haven't built a relationship with them, where they've opted in, you should be looking at Persist IQ, but don't do that through Mailchimp or HubSpot. If you do, you could get banned from those platforms. I want to be very clear about that. So there's a difference between cold email and warm email. And just know that. So at Tribal Vision, we use, for example, Persist IQ for cold outreach, but for our actual email database, just know that we're certainly not using Persist IQ for that. We're actually using HubSpot for our own database of email addresses that have opted in. Okay. One other question from Bill before we move on here. He said, do you like application-based or capability-based emails if you work in virtually every field of science and technology, right? So application-based versus capability-based. Rob, do you have a thought on that at all?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, I think that, ultimately, I think it's going to come down to the specific capabilities that you need to speak to. But I think it's likely the case that how you speak to those capabilities is going to be unique for every industry anyhow. So yeah. I almost would recommend that, you first and foremost build out email campaigns by industry, and then kind of go from there in terms of the capability. But another thing, consideration that I definitely put out there too, is that you want to think about who in those organizations that you're sending those messages to in terms of hierarchy. And if they're a decision maker at the organization, the sorts of things that you call out in that email are likely going to be different than what you call out for somebody that's just going to be an influencer at that organization.
Yeah, exactly. One other quick question from Joe, and then we have to move on so that we're respectful of the 12 o'clock time constraint here. Joe asked, Rob, will our emails be available at some point, or are we sending an email to all the participants? Haley's answering that right now. So just know, Joe, that ultimately Manny Jerome from Mass MEP will be providing our email addresses and also, again, contact information from Mass MEP. And at the end, Joe, I know you're leaving early, so we were going to talk about at the end for a minute that we do have, just so everyone knows, there are grants and there's consortiums that are available through Mass MEP, where if you did want to continue forward, working through Mass MEP for, a company like Tribal Vision to actually put all this together, there are grants that are available for that, Joe. So I just wanted to let you know that before you jump from this early. We're going to be talking about that at the end as well. Okay, Rob, you want to keep going here? Let's go to tip 3. This is a good one. It's one of my favorites. So do you want to talk a little bit about lookalike lists and try and simplify this for the audience a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, and I'll leave time for you to add your thoughts on here as well, Chris. But in terms of that, going back again to that email contact list, once you've got that thing cleaned up and you know that all of the contacts in there are deliverable, that not only is a group of people that you should be emailing, but it's also something that you can take over to Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn listed here and build 2 different things. One being a lookalike audience. Each one of these platforms has pretty powerful artificial intelligence that will take a look at the emails in that list and find similar individuals to the people that appear in your email list. Now, this is super cool because previously This, I mean, and to this day, it's not information that the platform will give out to us. Like Google will never give you somebody who uses Google's email address, but Google knows who they are. And they have all this proprietary information that they're tracking on the people that use their platform. This gives you an opportunity to leverage that data that otherwise is unavailable to the public, and utilize that to build out audiences that are similar to your target audience. So you see here at the bottom, we have the minimum list size, and it's pretty much 1,000 across the board. What I'm going to say is that if you can build out a lookalike audience that consists just of excellent customers, and then you plug that into a Facebook, a LinkedIn, a Google, you're going to be deploying advertisements to people that have similarities to those individuals that you deemed your best customers. The other piece that you can use, besides the lookalike audience, the other way that you can leverage your current email database is with retargeting efforts. Now, on the retargeting side, and I know that if you aren't familiar with retargeting, I know that the minute we explain what it is, go, oh yeah, that thing. But no, retargeting is when you visit a website. Let's say I visit a website. I look at a pair of sneakers. I leave that website, and then when I go onto a different website, I start seeing pictures of those same sneakers. Those are retargeted ads. They're being retargeted to you after you left that initial website to encourage you to ultimately make that purchasing decision. You can do the exact same thing for really any business. It's just, I mean, at this point, the retail sectors were like kind of the first to get on board, but at this point, it's something that really across industry people do. And the way that it can work with your existing contact list is that if you upload that list of email addresses and the platform can one-to-one match them, then they will, the platform, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, they'll actually display ads for your product, or whether it's your product or a piece of content you released, whatever it may be, but they'll push those ads, display ads, out to those individuals that are in your email database, which you think about it is extremely powerful because it gives you yet another way to get in front of your potential customers.
Yeah, I'll just add to that quickly, Rob. So a lot of manufacturers that we work with, they don't know this exists, right? So they just think, oh yeah, well, I have my email that goes out once a month. Okay, that's great. But now you'll be able to take this sort of multi-channel approach where, in addition to you sending out that email, if you now do have a social media graphic on LinkedIn and on Facebook, you now can make sure that they're looking at that piece of content, not just in their inbox, but also through social media as well. So that's, as in sales, it's all about frequency of touch points. And there's nothing better. I've always said there's nothing better for a compliment when I hear, boy, Tribal Vision's everywhere. You guys, it's, no matter what device I'm on and what channel I'm on, I see what's going on with you guys. And it's through these retargeting efforts. It's not like we're mass marketing this, right? We have our base that we're wanting to make sure we stay relevant to, and we're making sure that we're touching them in no matter what channel they're in. Most manufacturers that we work with, it's just that sort of boring once a month or once a quarter email, and there's nothing else built around that. So now you have a chance to make sure that you're in front of your either customers or prospects in many more ways. And these channels have made it very easy for you to do. It's not rocket science.
Right. So next tip we have here is leverage account-based marketing to target companies set to benefit from the post-COVID environment. So if you're unfamiliar with account-based marketing, basically it's a strategy where marketing and sales work together to figure out what the best potential customers are, and then through these 5 steps you see below, basically deliver to those high priority prospects marketing campaign that really consists of a variety of different pieces of content and is extremely tailored to that specific person and the industry that they sit in. So, for example, you see number 3 there with create content. In this, with this kind of customized personalization point in mind, let's say if you're targeting companies in the life sciences industry, then any white papers, social media graphics, so on and so forth that you're deploying to them, they're all going to be specific to life sciences. And all of your messages are really going to be focused on the specifics of that industry and what concerns they may have.
Yeah, I would just add to this again, there's a lot of density to these slides, these next few slides. Given that we're running a little bit behind, we're probably not going to go through every little step here. I just want to focus more on big picture for this tip. Big picture, right, is, we just talked about how with retargeting, with your existing list, with your existing email list, you now have other options to be targeting someone. What we're now talking about with account-based marketing, otherwise known as ABM, is separate from that, from those that already know you. Marketing and sales are working together to ultimately then figure out, okay, who is our hit list of 50 companies, 100 companies, whatever that number is, typically 50 to 100 companies, for us to now be proactively trying to get in front of. That's account-based marketing, okay, in a very high level, right? So just know that it's marketing and sales working together, trying to come up with your own hit list of those that you want to go after. And then from there, if you see the slide in front of you now, we're now thinking about, okay, once we've identified the accounts, let's identify the decision makers at each of the companies on LinkedIn, for example, and the influencers. And now we're going to make sure that we have a multi-channel marketing campaign digitally to be going after them. Okay, so that's ultimately what account-based marketing is. It's been around for a while. A lot of manufacturers aren't leveraging ABM at all. There's huge opportunity there in this post-COVID world to make sure you're doing that versus sort of the old school way of sales. Okay, tools to use, you might say, okay, how do we even come up with that list of 100 companies that we really want to target? Well, number one, you've got to be talking to your salespeople. Marketing and sales are going to know more than Zoom info, for example, on those 100. But from there, just know once you have that, you can then go to a database like a Zoom info, and you're going to be able to find that information, those contacts through Zoom info. And you can probably most likely build out your list even more using Zoom info. Okay. Another way, if you want to do sort of an old-fashioned way to create your list, is if you identify those 100 companies, you can then use a really cool tool that some of you might not know about called hunter.io. So you might say, okay, yeah, I found my 100 companies, but I don't know this person's email address. And I have my influencers and decision makers, but I don't have their email address. What am I going to do? You can download hunter.io. And then once that's downloaded, you literally can just go on any website, right? So let's say you have your 100 companies, you're going to 100 websites, right-clicking on your mouse, and it'll then provide you with the email addresses of those individuals, employees at those companies. It probably won't give you, of course, all of the individuals' names, right? Let's say you're targeting, Raytheon. Good luck. You're not going to find everyone, but you'll find the naming convention, right? So first initial, last name at Raytheon. If you know the individual's name because you found them on LinkedIn, you can easily then find their email address. Okay, so those are ways for you to actually be building your list, building your email addresses. And then from there, again, right, you can then do these automated drip emails, right, from email 1 all the way through email 4 to build frequency with those individuals. Okay, if you keep going, Rob, for 1 sec, to the next. Well, I guess, all right, I'll just say this. I want to be clear with ABM that in addition to the email that you can be deploying, you also can be using LinkedIn, right? Because you found those individuals on LinkedIn. So I don't want you to think this is just an automated email approach to targeting those 100 companies. It's email typically in addition to LinkedIn, in addition to, if you have those 100 companies where those are like, that's gold. If you could ever close one of those 100 companies, just know that if you are putting together paid search campaigns on Google, you can then also make sure that you're uploading those names to those companies to Google. And anytime someone in that company is searching for something on Google with keywords that you want to target, you're going to be appearing on Google. I know we're going fast here. We can talk about it after this webinar if you're interested, right? We're just trying to get a lot of nuggets in here. But the point is, with account-based marketing, again, it's a multi-touch approach using multiple channels, right? To be able to then start building awareness with companies that don't know you. Unlike what we talked about before, right? In our prior tip of retargeting, you're just retargeting companies that probably have known you. You can do it both ways, for those that know you and also for companies and individuals at those companies that don't know you. Okay. Okay. You want to go through tip 5 here? This is pretty basic, of course, but we thought we just at least want to give some tips, right? Or some numbers of just what's going on with digital today in this post-COVID world.
Yeah, so I think the way to really conceptualize this is that each and every marketing activity that you have going, every campaign, it should have a digital component to it. And here, I mean, we've provided you a number of different stats that really show why that's the case. I mean, 170 million US professionals are on LinkedIn. So it's a no-brainer that you want to be leveraging the LinkedIn platform however you can. 51% of shoppers surveyed use Google to research before making an online purchase. That wasn't specific to retail. That was B2B purchasing as well. So absolutely crucial that you're focusing on, from a Google perspective, to Chris's point a moment ago, you're focusing on paid search and your SEO. 94% report watching explainer videos to learn more about a product. So all manufacturers out there do definitely, and it's interesting too, because I have heard it's really common for people to, before they even made a purchase, they will watch the explainer video to understand, well, how difficult is it going to be to use this thing once I have it? So absolutely, you want to be leveraging video in any opportunity you have, and we're going to speak to that later as well. But anyhow, the point here is that ultimately, whatever you're doing, if it's print, radio, so on and so forth, you want to make sure that there is the digital piece to what you have going out on your in terms of your marketing efforts, because ultimately, with the digital marketing, you're able to track your results that much better and tie them back to the campaign that you ran, and really the ROI there is just so considerable because you can actually prove it. So anyhow, in terms of number 6, oh, I lost my, there we go. Sort of, how do you put that? Well, it's meta, we'll call it that. Talking about hosting a post-COVID webinar while on a post-COVID webinar. But at this point, because the as Chris put it, the shaking hands and kissing babies is just not happening. And I mean, it's likely that we're not going to be back in a situation where there's full-blown trade shows for some time yet. I mean, maybe at some point in 2021, we'll see smaller scale back trade shows. But regardless, the webinar continues to be an excellent way for you to get in front of a larger audience. And so we definitely encourage everybody to think through opportunities to launch a post-COVID webinar. If you have any ways that your product and service can help smooth that transition to going back to post-COVID world, absolutely you want to be offering that information up, because at this point, it's sort of nobody really knows what's going to happen next. So the people that jump in the ring and want to offer their insight, their thoughts are really going to bubble to the surface. So really though, the 2 different audiences that you want to keep in mind for webinars are really if the webinar is designed to generate awareness or consideration. So awareness, really think of like this is going to go out to people that don't know you, that are unaware of your product, your service, your company, but you want to get them within your ecosystem and aware of what you do. or the people that fall on the consideration side that may be well aware of you but haven't made a purchase in the past. A couple of additional things that we'll throw out here. In terms of who you invite to webinars, I think you want to really, this is Tribal Vision's approach, and I think this works really well. So definitely encourage everybody else on the call as well to consider always inviting the cool leads, new ones, and then people within your network as well. So past customers, so on and so forth. Get all of them invited to your events, because ultimately they're going to spread the word on their own end as well. And then a couple of additional tips just around the webinar piece. One, if you have a Zoom account, just do it on Zoom, because it's so much easier than a lot of the other webinar platforms out there. Keeping it brief, which we're going to try to pull off today, 30 to 50 minutes, and then have that Q&A session at the end. And then lastly, with webinars, you want to have a pre-show promotional campaign. This is just a sample, but really kind of 2 weeks out from the event, you want to start promoting it to those individuals that you'd like to attend. And then, that really escalates the closer you get to the event, culminating with like 2 days before the event, you're sending out another reminder email about the upcoming event. And you can really even do morning of email, reminding them, hey, this event is today. If you're interested, last chance to sign up. I believe Haley did one of those this morning. And then last but not least, and I think equally important with the webinar experience, is the reminder sequence. So make sure that anybody that registers, they totally are aware of when it's happening, and you don't give them a chance to miss it. So it starts with a thank you email, and then a series of reminder emails that go out, again, kind of escalating in frequency the closer to the actual event that you get.
Yeah, I would just add quickly also that you want to make sure that, we're talking email here with these slides, but social, of course, is super important as well, right? So just know that, you definitely want to, just like Mass MEP has done, frankly, right, Haley, with what they've done for this webinar, right? There's a lot of social that took place. A lot of invitees, a lot of attendees actually came from social, not just from email. So again, you're probably sick of me saying multi-channel, but you want to make sure that you're reaching out on multiple channels, not just through email, of course. And I'll just say this, and we'll move on to the next tip, but I would just say that, as you can tell with these last couple slides that Rob has shown, if you really want to increase attendance at your webinars, it can't just be, okay, yeah, let me just shoot an email out and see who joins. It really does have to be well thought out, right, and really rigorous if you really want to try and maximize attendance. I mean, at Tribal Vision, Rob will attest, when we put in a webinar together, it's amazing. We're starting a couple months out and building the deck, building landing pages so that we're driving someone to a really engaging landing page. We're really thinking through, we're building a webinar calendar of exactly when we're sending out, emails and social posts, et cetera. We're including it in our retargeting efforts. We're uploading content to our website on our homepage. So someone who's on our web homepage is going to see the webinar to sign up. My point is, if you really want to do it right to maximize attendance, there really does have to be sort of a much more rigorous approach. I mean, Rob and I, our goal is usually, can we get 80 to 100 attendees on these webinars, right? That's typically our goal. And the only way we're able to do that is taking the approach that I'm talking about right now. Right. Otherwise, you might say, yeah, I tried a webinar. I got 5 people on, and it's a lot of work for 5 people. You've got to start early, and you've got to be thinking through it the way that we're talking about it, really, to make it work. All right, Rob, if you want to keep going.
Yeah. So in terms of number 7, with attending relevant virtual events. So you see here with the stat from Grandview Research around virtual events, they're not going anywhere. I think that what's ultimately happened is that the the companies that send people to trade shows have figured out, wait a second, this is so much cheaper when it's virtual. I don't have to take care of hotel rooms and airline flights and all this. And the people hosting those events realize that it's resonating with companies as well, and they're moving to virtual only. So absolutely don't think that this is just a flash in a pan thing and we just go back to what does our old trade show list look like. Instead, you want to be leaning into the opportunity that these new virtual events, or at least the proliferation of virtual events, provides you in terms of at bats. So these are the trade show events that we think you definitely want to consider. So if there are any past trade shows, definitely see, obviously you definitely want to see if those have virtual components, but then, and I think it's probably the most significant, is this one right here in the middle with the wish list trade shows. I had a client that I worked with for years that there was a series of trade shows that happened in Europe every year, and it was always the same story. It was like the beginning of Q4. We're talking through the marketing plan for the next year, and the conversation was, yeah, I think we want to do that show that's in Germany, and then that show that's in Italy, and then we'll go to that show in Spain, because those are just such great events. And once the budgeting all got done, we came back in January, and it was like, yeah, we're not going to be attending those trade shows, actually. But here's the thing, is that those wish list trade shows, now that there's virtual components to them, they're now fair game for you. So absolutely, definitely go back, figure out all the ones that you heard about and wanted to check out but couldn't because whatever the limitation, and see if you have the opportunity to go now. And then finally, with the virtual only type events, there's a lot of these happening now. Everybody has, there's so many really valuable webinars, workshops, etc., that are out there. It's a great opportunity for you to not only put yourself out there and engage with potential customers, but then also, size up, is this event something that in the future, when it goes to an in-person, is it something that's even worth our while? So definitely look, really, it probably applies to both the wish list and the virtual ones. Use virtual as a way to test it out and see if it's worth the commitment of time and money.
Yeah, a couple things. One that I just mentioned, SME on the slide, right? That's a huge national manufacturers association. If you're not familiar with it, you should take a look. SME, good example, right? So we're working with SME right now a little bit, where they're putting on virtual events. They're also putting on virtual webinars, right? So there's definitely a lot of opportunity for manufacturers to be joining these types of virtual only events. And also it's much less expensive, right? You're now not having to be taking 10 salespeople or whoever it is to a show with hotels and travel. So it also can be far more efficient and far less expensive as well. So I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, I guess is my point, to say, oh, trade shows, because of this post-COVID world, no one's going to trade shows anymore. There's virtual shows that are out there, or there are these hybrid models that you should be exploring. Okay, we'll keep going here. This is a good tip. I like this one a lot. Rob, you want to start us off with it? And I can add something here.
Sure. I was actually about to say the exact same sentence. Chris, do you want to kick this one off?
All right, I'll kick it off. I'll kick it off. I love this one, right? And then you can then add some flavor. So Vidyard. So tip number 8 is you guys should take a look at Vidyard. If we're talking sales enablement, okay, right, which is, you've probably heard the word digitization, right? Everyone's looking to digitize, even the sales process, where you now have to be thinking about digital sales enablement. What can we be doing for sales teams now who can't shake hands anymore, and probably won't as much as they used to because of COVID? Even once COVID's done, a lot of companies are used to now Zoom. A lot of companies now are not wanting you to come in their office and have to do the dog and pony show at their office, right? So if that's the case, what's a salesperson to do? So Vidyard is a great example, where it's a video platform where you now can be completely building relationships through video with your prospects. So this is still marketing, in my opinion, right? But it's more sales driven than marketing driven at this point, right? But if you are talking about how can our salespeople now be be equipped to still close business, Vidyard will enable them to basically, and Rob's, I think, showing us a screen here as an example. It can be downloaded. So as you see here with this arrow.
I'll show you. Here you go.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, jumping ahead, but I think this is probably what everybody
even
will want
better.
to see. Yeah.
Even better. So just know you download Vidyard, right? And once that's downloaded, you literally just have to click on that green dot from the prior page on your website. Once you've done that, then you can literally now be, as a salesperson, sharing whatever you want to share with your prospect, with you speaking to them while you're sharing something. That something could be a proposal, an RFP, whatever it is that would be really helpful to that prospect. You can be now speaking to them, just like you see Rob's face here in this slide. Mm-hmm. He's speaking to what's behind him on that page. Okay. Yep. And you can also brand this experience. So you could be creating a landing page that is your own company landing page, just like this. Here we go. Right. So this is our Tribal Vision landing page for Vidyard. So it looks really well branded and buttoned up. You can do the same thing on your own website. So anytime you're speaking to now a prospect, your salesperson can be on camera speaking to them, walking them through whatever they want to be walked through, etc. Also, a little other nugget about Vidyard. Remember we talked about email, and someone asked about even personalizing email. Well, you can, for those, to Rob's point, if you have 15 hot prospects, you don't want to automate an email. You can then instead use Vidyard, and you can then actually now send an email with a video embedded within the email. So if we're talking about humanizing yourself and engaging, right, in ways that aren't just about content in an email that's boring, you now can use video within your own outreach emails through Vidyard. By the way, if you're talking about even promoting that upcoming webinar that we talked about on social media, you can have Rob Meyer, right? Rob and I, and just like Haley did, right? We're promoting video webinars using video at this point. Vidyard can be used for that. Okay. We only have a few more minutes, so Rob, unless you have something really huge to say about Vidyard.
No. I think you covered it really well.
Cool.
The next piece. Tip number 9, with one to go after this one, but use a digital asset management system to share sales materials. Here, if you're unfamiliar with a digital asset management system, basically it provides you a way that whether it's a quote, a sell sheet, whatever it is, it provides you a way that when you ship out those materials to your prospects, you're able to track their engagement with those assets. So instead of like wondering, hey, did they look at that quote yet? You can actually go into the platform and find out, did they look at the quote? Because it is tracked within their platform. Extremely helpful for you to, a tool for you to use to basically just know what's happening once material leaves, the confines of, your inbox and goes out to prospects, customers, so on and so forth. There's a number of different platforms available to you that do this. We've got 6 of them listed here, but honestly, there's countless other options. The big thing, though, to know is that really, it's very much a situation where, the higher end platforms have, equivalent higher number of features than, the more rudimentary platforms. But if all you're really looking to do is track, did they look at my quote form or not? Then, any one of these options can work for you wonderfully. We will call out, though, one particular, Client Point. Specifically because Client Point really kind of sets itself apart from the competitors in that it allows you to have a completely customized branded experience where you actually, whether you're sending your prospect or whether you're sending your prospect videos, proposals, whatever it may be, it's all going to appear in this one window where they can easily access it, and you can easily track it as well. And our last tip use the scheduling app to make it easier for prospects and potential customers to book a meeting. If you're not currently using a Calendly or an application like Calendly, couldn't recommend it any stronger. Simply because, you know, gone is that back and forth email of like, oh, are you free at 2:30? No, can you do 4? No, I can't do 4. You never have to do that ever again. All you have to do is provide them a link to your calendar and they select a time that works for them. Absolutely huge time saver. Couldn't recommend it more. And to be perfectly honest, for the amount of time that it saves, the fact that it's free or extremely inexpensive, as there are some that are not totally free. Calendly does have a free option, but the fact that it is, you know, as as inexpensive as it is, couldn't recommend it to you anymore.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
we just have a minute left, so I'll just add 2 nuggets. One, if you see on the screen here, it says phone call with Chris. Just know that's actually Calendly, right? So you can have Calendly as a part of your signature of your email, but it also can be built out where, like, we're using it on our actual website, where if someone then, you know, is driven to a landing page where we want a strong call to action, and they don't want to just pick up the phone and call us, they can schedule a time right here, as you see in the center of the slide, where they can see my calendar, it's updated, and ultimately be able to then book a meeting, right? So you can, through a little bit of coding, you can take the Calendly link and actually like embed it so that it can actually be on your contact us page or on a landing page of your website. Calendly, yeah, to Rob's point, is like $10 a month. So super cheap if you want to use it to that level. And I'll just mention one other nugget about Client Point. You definitely should take a look as an example if you're really looking at digital sales enablement and enabling your sales team to really thrive in this new digital environment. It is huge, and it literally can cost as little as, there's a setup fee of, I think, $1,250. And then after that, I think it's about $65 a month a user. So it's not going to break the bank for you, right? We're trying to recommend tips where it's not like we're recommending a Cadillac for everybody. So anyways, we just thought we'd end with these couple sales enablement tips. As much as, you know, marketing is super important, sales, of course, is important too. So we wanted to leave you with these couple sales tips. With that, we literally are right on the dime, 12 o'clock. And I know, Haley, I don't know if you want to field any questions that might have come up while we were talking that we didn't get to, or however you'd like to wrap
I think
us
you
up here.
did. I honestly think you got to all of the questions, Chris. I think you answered everybody's questions. I think I did just put a little note in the chat that, you know, we do a consortium program with Travel Vision. So if, you know, and that is one of those opportunities where I think this is part of your package, correct, Chris?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So just know that
Yeah.
if there is interest, just know that we've done this for years with Mass MEP, where there are consortiums where there's like, you know, six days of training. I mean, we literally just tried to pack in some nuggets here, but there's, you know, there's 6 days of training. There's one-on-one meetings with each company, et cetera. It's all packaged in a grant. Robin at Mass MEP does a great job there. So if you want academic training, there's that. And if you just say, no, I don't need academic training, I just need stuff to get done and implemented, there are grants through Mass MEP for that as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, just you would talk to Manny about any of that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's that, and we strongly encourage that. Some companies would be surprised at what kind of funding you can get to be able to have this opportunity to do this. So it's definitely worthwhile. But yeah, I think that's it. So if anybody did have any questions though, feel free. Manny will be in touch with everyone, and he will give you Chris and Rob's contact information directly, so that you know, if there's something specific that you might want to work out with them. But if there's a way that we at Mass MEP can help so that you can get this training and not incur any expenses, why not, right? So if we can help you out that way, you know, please feel free to go through us, and we'll do what we can. So I think that's yeah, yeah, I think that's it. I think we are all set. So thanks everybody for joining us today. Please make sure that you always visit our website at massmap.org in case we have any upcoming events. We try to have Chris and Rob on every couple of months when they come up with some golden nuggets available for us to put out to everyone. So, but in the meantime, if you have more specific questions, you can always reach out to us. So we'll talk to everybody soon.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Haley.
You're welcome.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Just
Whoa.
cleaning it out, cleaning it out. Hold on, cleaning it out. Remove.
No, you hadn't moved, and then you talked. I was like, oh God, it's not frozen. Like a crisp balanced too. I was like, I'll just stay. I don't know.
Yeah, all right, just us. Good, all good. Hold
All
on.
right.
Let me